Joey, I will let you introduce him since apparently I screwed up his name.
You didn't screw up his name. We all have been screwing up his name because it's one of those that you just call by the nickname, so you never mess up his name. But It's Rogelio Castillo. Good morning.
Morning, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing well, man. First of all, thanks for coming out to the UFC party. It was great to see you there, I'd imagine.
No problem. It was that injury. So you guys are gonna talk about this later. That was horrific. That ankle. Even when they kept slowing it down, I was like, oh man.
It's worse when they slow it down because in real time you don't really see it. Then they slow it down. You're like, how? Bones don't work like that. Well, let's get into it. You know, you obviously are a huge Tigers contributor on Twitter, and so we wanted to bring you on because you are our foremost expert on this situation. How you feeling after the number 3 pick last night?
Well, first and foremost, Corey's reference of Pat Underwood is amazing because there is YouTube footage of Pat Underwood pitching against, I believe, the Blue Jays, and his career never amounted to much. But I digress. Initially, I was kind of stunned because you talk about Mayer being the for sure thing, being compared to possibly the next Alan Trammell. But, I think with his slider spin rate, and that's what the Tigers were looking at, you have to trust him. I look at what the Tigers did last year, picking up Colt Keefe, who's off to a really good start in Lakeland, who's a high schooler. And you have to kind of maybe perhaps ignore past history of the Tigers developing high school pitchers or players for that matter. And so this is kind of a new step in development. This is kind of a new thing. Tigers used to be a for sure thing with, you talk about they have had a draft where they picked nothing but relievers. 2019 was a bunch of offense. Same thing with last year. And so you have to trust the process a little bit. And I think for Tiger fans right now, I know there was a little bit of initial outrage, but Ty Madden is a steal at number 32, which we'll talk about in a second. But
right,
I like Jackson Jobe. I do. I'm coming around to it. He was my number 1 mock draft pick at Motor City Bengals because just talking to some of the other Tiger people, they're just, like I said, it was the slider spin rate for him and that kind of polish in high school. And, his dad was a pro golfer, so that also helps. And having that pedigree of having a professional athlete in your family really goes a long way.
Yeah, when I was reading and doing my research on this guy, the thing that really stuck out to me wasn't the 99 miles an hour that he can hit on his fastball on occasion. It was the spin rate that he has on his slider. Like, we're talking over 3,000 RPMs on that spin. And that is like elite level spin. So it's not really going to cost him his arm in the long run to, throw those pitches because of the spin rate. I like the upside of this guy, and I think that's what the Tigers were going for, just strictly upside here, because he has the highest ceiling pretty much in the draft, right?
Correct, yeah. And the biggest thing about spin rate is how it's used effectively, because people get into the numbers so much, but I think it really depends on what kind of movement you're getting with the spin rate, and if it becomes an effective pitch, and people get obsessed with like, well, the number this, number that, but if it's still doing what it's supposed to do and it's spinning, which is striking out batters, that's all that matters. And for his age, and I think you look at what Chris Fetter's been doing right now as a pitching coach for the Tigers and just taking guys like, you saw even yesterday with Willie Peralta still going out there before the bullpen kind of imploded a little bit. But, you have, and the development process with pitching has been coming a long way. And so that's where I think if fans just kind of sit back, relax and go, hey, look at what the Tigers have been doing with their starters the last couple of years. Dan Hubbs, the director of pitching development, also comes to mind too. They have a system in place, and I think you just have to trust. I hate to say the cliche, trust the process that the 76ers trust said, but
it's like a sin.
So Jackson is their 5th prep high school pitcher they selected in the past 15 years. You got Rick Porcello, Matt Manning, Jacob Turner, Jake Thompson. How do you feel about them going in this direction again? Obviously, they want him to become Rick Porcello, become the Cy Young winner with the Tigers, not with the Red Sox. But how do you feel about them going in that direction with another, prospect that high?
I feel a lot better about it now than I would have back then, because when you look at what happened in the case of Jacob Turner, Jacob Turner did what he was supposed to do. He got us good trade bait, and that's what Dave Dombrowski would do. He would get a guy hyped up and then able to trade it. But I think with the current pitching development process in place, I feel a lot better about this pick overall so high. When I first saw it, I was telling, we did a podcast last night, and we're talking about it, and outrageous pick, quote unquote, and then I did a belly flop into my buddy's pool because not necessarily
You have
flop.
that video?
Yeah, the video's on Twitter, so yeah, it's in there. But it's one of those things where at first I was kind of uneasy about it because you look at past high school pitchers that are drafted that high, but then you get a comparison to Josh Beckett, who was a very good effective starter for the Marlins team. He basically put the Marlins on his back and helped them win the 2003 World Series. And you look at that, when you get the comparison with the Tigers scouting department was saying, then you feel a little better about it because as much as fans want to outrage about that he's not a quote unquote big name, scouts are out there all the time. They're on the road. They're constantly watching footage, and they know more than the average fan. And they know more than I do. So if they're saying that he's compared to Josh Beckett, who was a pretty damn good starter, then I'm going to go with that. And again, like I said, we have Chris Fetter, you have Dan Hubbs, you have a system in place that seems to be working. Then I'm going to trust, again, cliche city, trust the process.
Now, you said a couple of times so far, I kind of picked up on it that you've coming around to the pick. Any shock they didn't with the pitching direction? They didn't go with Jack Leiter out of Vanderbilt. He's a highly talked about guy that they were also linked to as well.
He was taken at 2, I think. We didn't have a
Was
shot
it?
at it.
Oh,
Yeah. The other Vanderbilt guy we could have had.
Yeah, there was a lot of Kumar was coming down for whatever reason. I don't know why. I mean, I thought that was a little unfair because based off some of his starts at Vanderbilt. But even if Jack Leiter was there, if Jack Leiter was there and they didn't take him, then I would have kind of questioned a little bit. But I thought Texas did a really good job getting Leiter because that was he could have been number one. So I think originally I wanted Marcelo Mayer because I thought he's a left-handed bat. He's advanced for his high school age. Him and Brady House both were highly regarded high school shortstops. And this is a draft, by the way, that didn't really have a lot of college bats. If you listen to anything about the Baseball America, or just looking at it, usually you see a couple college bats right off the top 10. And outside of the one, I believe, from Baltimore, who's a teammate of Ty Madden in high school, there wasn't really much of a big high school bat. There wasn't the Spencer Torkelson in the top 5 kind of thing. It was, you saw Patrick Davis, you saw the number 1 pick for Pittsburgh, but other than that, there was a lot of high school players going really early. And so I think the Tigers kind of started a trend if you think about it, because then the Royals pick and number 7 caught everybody off guard, and it just started a really interesting trend in the draft.
So Jackson Jobe, I mean, I know we're looking at him as just a pitcher, but he also was a pretty damn good field position player when he was obviously in high school, and a decent hitter. I mean, I guess when the Tigers went to go scout him, he hit 2 home runs during that scouting performance, and that really
under pressure
them.
too. That's amazing.
Yeah. So do you think we may have the next Ohtani on our hands, where we're going to have this kid pitching, and we're also going to have him play at shortstop? And watch this bat flip. If you haven't seen the bat flip, watch this shit. Boom! That's a bat flip for you.
That's authority. I want to say I would like the Tigers to do both, hopefully. But I mean, if you look at their history of this is kind of like a new thing, a new trend among players right now, having the two-way element.
I love it.
No, I love it too. And I mean, trust me, if it was something like Bo Jackson, or Deion Sanders, I know I'm dating myself here, but shit, that'd have been sweet too. But I think that for now, I think they've been so focused on his pitching that it'll be nice. I mean, don't get me wrong. If he comes out and he goes out and he starts raking right away, then they have to explore that possibility. But they're so happy with his polish and for his advanced age, and he's not been pitching that long, comparatively speaking to others you see in there. And yeah, and there's a lot of that kind of initial outrage about it. But honestly, you see that bat flip, how do you not get pumped? And this again, look at the slider action. Look at the way for a high schooler, and we have some perfect game footage of him just polishing off dudes, guys who were top 10 or top 30, 40 picks, or going to be potentially picked. So, at first, it's what you don't know. It's the fear of the unknown. But I think as Tiger fans go on, and they'll calm down. I don't like the fact that people went after him on Twitter and were kind of bragging on him already. That's just bullshit, and that's just bush league crap.
And he's a high school kid. Like, you're really going to attack a high school kid at this point? The kid's 18 years old. And, I mean, you're always going to get that, and especially right now with how people are feeling about Avila and him still being a part of the organization. But how the hell are you going to talk trash to an 18-year-old that, honestly, how much film has anybody watched on this kid?
Yeah, and what you're seeing right now is exactly as much film as anybody has watched. I mean, look at that curve right there. I mean, this just like drops off the face of the fucking planet. I mean, how are you going to sit there and tell me?
Yeah, that spin rate is just crazy, and that slider, you're right, it just falls off the table. So I'm happy with the draft pick, and to me, it's with draft picks, it's always okay. Now what? Let's wait and see,
right?
You know, because it's not like anybody just comes out of the gate like an all-star. So hopefully, this kid, you know, maybe we get him in the rotation at the end of next season. You know, we call him up for. Hopefully, we're in that position to where we're able to do that, or just maybe tears through, you know, all the AA, AAA ball, and we get him up here earlier than that. Either way. Let's just give him time. He's 18 years old. He throws 100 miles an hour almost, and he's got a wicked slider. Let's see what he's got.
Hey, Raj, I need you to walk us through footage from your pool doing this belly flop because...
Oh, you got it?
It's just amazing. It is just great footage.
Well, this is the third time we've done it on the podcast where my co-host has a pool, and so... One of the things that we did, I did this last year, but it was kind of improv. This year, I'm like, I'm going to plan it. And so when the Pittsburgh Pirates pick, because again, all these experts, what have you, were trying to predict it, all, you know, puns, even myself. And yeah, so I was worried about my hair because my hair's been, this is the longest it's ever been. And yeah, I was like, you know what? I'll tell you this. My stomach and my lower region, my balls, they hurt.
Hey, that's a good flop. That's a good flop.
Wow. The slow-mo kills me. The slow-mo kills me.
Credit to Jake, my other podcast partner that helped me record that, but some guy on Twitter is like 2.4 out of 10. Get the fuck out of here.
Damn Russian judges.
No.
Man, that's harsh.
French judges out of here.
The best part is you jump off a diving board and you still get like, you just look like you're falling forward. Like you got no air off the diving board. I loved it.
You know, hey, man, I don't have any jumping skills, so what can I say?
I know the feeling, man. Well, we just wanted to bring you on to talk Tigers, man. Appreciate everything you do in the social community and on Twitter. And once again, thanks for coming out to the UFC party. That's not why I wanted to have you on the show today. It was like, listen, Tigers got the number 3 overall pick. We got to bring our boy in and talk about it. And what do you want me to call you? Is Raj okay, or do you like Rogelio?
Rogelio or Raj is fine. Like I said, it's I just I'm just trying to take more sense of my name, you know, and either or doesn't matter. I'm just glad that you guys gave me this opportunity to talk Tigers, and looking forward to today at 1:00. The second round starts at 1:00. So
awesome. We'll make sure you're following Rogelio on Twitter. All you got to do is go to our Twitter. We tagged him in this live stream right now, so make sure you go give him a follow and get all your Tigers updates. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, man. We appreciate it.
Have a good morning, guys. Thanks.
See you around.
Man, I'm